In a remote village cradled by thick forests and winding rivers, beauty was more than a gift, it was power. And no one understood this more than Amaka, the daughter of a late herbalist and a seamstress who struggled to keep her fed. From a young age, Amaka's beauty turned heads. As she grew, her charm deepened, and so did her envy. There were other pretty girls in the village, Ifunanya with a soft voice, Chinwe with her dimples, and Ngozi with her dancing eyes. The attention they received irritated Amaka like a thorn beneath the skin. She wanted to be the standard, unmatched, worshipped. One night, after overhearing two women say Ngozi looked more radiant than her, Amaka ran into the forest, tears of rage staining her cheeks. In a fury, she ignored the elders' warning about the cursed part of the woods no one dared to enter. There, beneath the roots of an ancient baobab, she heard a slithering voice. "You are ready," it hissed. "I can give you what you crave, but once you shed your skin, there is no turning back." Before her lay a massive serpent. Its scales glowed like moonlight, its eyes gold and ancient. Terrified yet entranced, Amaka agreed. That night, the serpent coiled around her, whispering dark incantations. She screamed as her spine cracked and her limbs warped. Her skin split, revealing fresh, glistening flesh underneath, flawless and radiant. But the transformation didn't end there. Every full moon, Amaka now had to feed. The serpent's curse demanded blood, living blood. So, as the villagers slept, she slithered through the shadows, killing goats, chickens, even occasional guard dogs. Farmers wept over their mysteriously slaughtered animals. The village blamed witches. Fear grew like wildfire. But each morning, Amaka returned home, glowing brighter. The villagers, now entranced by her beauty, men stumbled over themselves to please her. Women whispered and glared. Amaka began to dress like royalty, command like a queen, and insult like a tyrant. When her own mother cautioned her, Amaka slapped her across the face. Her tyrant's behavior continued for a very long time. Then came the harvest festival. Amaka, dressed in silk and gold, stood before the villagers like a goddess, but her arrogance was unbearable. She laughed during prayers. She mocked the chief's wife. She danced like the world belonged to her. That night, 3 baby goats went missing, and one elder son was found unconscious near the river, eyes wide in terror, mumbling about a snake he had seen with a woman's face. With all the recent happenings in the village, that was when the most skilled hunter decided to watch the woods. For 2 nights, he hid near the grove. On the 3rd, just as the moon reached its peak, he saw her. Amaka emerged from the trees, removed her wrapper, and stood naked in the moonlight. Her skin began to ripple, her legs fused, her mouth stretched, bones cracked, her eyes turned yellow. Before him stood a monstrous serpent with Amaka's face. She hissed and slithered towards a tied goat, but the hunter had seen enough. He ran back to the village. At first, the elders did not believe him, but others had seen strange things too, and so they laid a trap with a goat laced with protective charms and surrounded by ash and salt. That night, Amaka came as expected, but as she bit into the goat, a net woven with sacred palm fronds fell from the trees. She shrieked and began to shift wildly between woman and beast. Her screams echoed through the trees as villagers emerged, holding brooms and sticks. The chief's staff bearer poured a calabash of unzu over her head, and it burned like acid. Her skin sizzled. She cursed and spat, her voice now two-toned, human and snake. At last, she collapsed, naked and weeping, half human, half serpent. Her secret was out. The next morning, the villagers held judgment. The chief looked at her with anger and resentment. "You sought beauty and power, but brought death and shame. Let the forest that gave you shelter now be your prison." She was banished from the kingdom, stripped of her belongings, and cast beyond the river, where none dared follow. Some say she still wanders the woods, still beautiful, still bitter, waiting for the next girl, hungry enough for power and foolish enough to listen to the hiss beneath the baobab tree. Years after, Amaka, now alone in the forest, slithered in solitude, No longer the stunning maiden she once was, she was now forever bound to the form of a serpent, a creature caused by her own unquenchable thirst for beauty and power. Her cries echoed through the forest, chilling the bones of anyone who dared come near. The curse, however, had a loophole. It could be passed on only to another woman as greedy and vain as she had once been. And so Amaka waited, hidden in the shadows of the forest, her senses attuned to every sound, every footstep. She would sing, soft and haunting, her hypnotic voice weaving through the trees, hoping to lure in a new victim. Many had heard the legend of Amaka and the snake. Parents warned their daughters never to stray too close to the forest, and for many years, the forest remained undisturbed. But one day, curiosity returned in the form of Ezinne. Ezinne, like Amaka before her, was beautiful, but she was never satisfied. She longed for more. More beauty, more admiration, more power. The stories of the enchanted forest, the forbidden tree, and the half-human, half-serpent lady only fueled that desire. She believed they were myths meant to frighten the weak-hearted. One evening, drawn by a voice that called to something dark within her, Ezinne followed the winding path into the forest. Amaka felt it, a shift in the air, a heartbeat full of longing and pride. A greedy soul had entered her domain. For the first time in decades, Amaka felt a twisted sense of joy. Her liberation was near. But back in the village, word had spread quickly. A child had seen Ezinne slip past the edge of the forest. The elders trembled. The village remembered the story of Amaka and how she had brought trouble to her land. Fear gripped them, and they knew they could not let history repeat itself. Under the guidance of the chief priest, they gathered men, women, even the brave-hearted youths. Armed with torches and chants, they marched towards the heart of the evil forest. As they approached the ancient Baobab tree, the air thickened, the shadows deepened, and strange voices filled the wind. Meanwhile, Ezinne had caught a glimpse of Amaka's figure and ran back to the village, trembling. However, by the time she arrived, the villagers had already gathered at the Baobab tree. They danced round the tree, making some chants and incantations. Then came the fire. Flames consumed the tree, crackling and roaring like the angry cries of forgotten spirits. From within, screams were heard, high-pitched, sorrowful cries of women, both past and present. The villagers wept and trembled, but they did not stop. They burned the roots, the trunk, the hollow beneath where the serpent hid. As the smoke curled into the sky, the wailing ceased. The forest fell silent, and the corpse, along with Amaka, was buried with ash and flame. From that day on, no one dared step foot into that part of the forest again. The elders declared it sacred, and it was left untouched, a warning to all who might let greed guide their hearts. And so ended the tale of the evil within the Baobab tree.